Hey there, this is Nils Beardfoot, and today we are crafting a shrimp bag from leather. We print out our pattern, cut it out and transfer it onto our wedge tanned leather. We're using 2.5mm or 6 ounce of wedge tanned leather here. Then we can start cutting, and after this, beveling. To be able to emboss our wedge tanned leather, we need to moisten it first. Put it under the tap, let it dry back a bit, and then we can start punching holes and setting some embossing. With a groove cutter like this, we trace a parallel line which is easier then to use for our stamps along the edge. A bone folder is a great tool to add some texture all over the piece, with many soft strokes and a few deeper ones. This is the way I did the embossing for pretty much all of the pieces. But for the legs and for the antennas, I used a fudge wheel to add some texture. For dyeing, I like to use my airbrush. I go with some red and some blue and then darken everything in a low angle with some dark brown. This creates shadows. So we got the shadows, but we also want some high spots, some light spots. And this we do with some high grit sandpaper, like 1000 grit, and we carefully remove some of the dye on the high spots. And then put on some resist on the surface and on the edges and burnish them. To be able to shape the pieces and harden them a bit at the same time, we use some hot tap water. Put in for about 5 minutes, then take them out and set them aside at least for 2 hours. You can speed up the process actually by using a hairdryer. Your best and easiest shaping tool is actually a breakfast bowl. Mostly round, just put it in and then press it along the surface at least twice, and then you will notice that it's shaped not in only in one dimension but in two. And this is the great part. To get even more rounded shape here on the eyes, use the blunt side of your burnisher and press them out by pressing it into your palm of your hand, and then get the shape. Same works also for the eggs. And here you can see all the different pieces. We got quite a few scale pieces, 2 tail pieces, 2 head pieces. On these we will also attach the face. We got the mouth. On this the antennas will be attached with rivets. And it will also be attached to both face pieces on the sides. We got the eggs that we've just seen, and they will be in the center of everything. And here are the big legs and a bunch of small legs. Also got these 2 D-ring attachments. Assembling, we start with the tail and the legs, and we sew them together like this. The same thing we do with the head and the face. Just sew it together. Like this. Easy. Now we got these bunch of scale pieces. Make sure that you got them in the right order and only from the right side. And then you can start riveting them together. You just put the rivets in and then hammer them down. And then add another, and another, and another, and another, and another. For the head, it's mostly the same, but we got this one row hole here that we don't want to rivet for the moment. The X will be in the very center, and here you want to make sure that you got the right one for the right side. This big egg needs to be here in this corner. For all the scale pieces that are not head and tail, you want to add also the small legs in between. We also got some D-rings and the attachment, and we punch a hole and rivet them on as well. You will notice that for left and right, the D-ring sits on different positions, as you can see here. Next is the mouth, and here we just want to rivet on the antennas. And then we sew it to the lower edge of the face here. We can moisten the edges, and this will make it easier to shape them towards each other. And we proceed as well with the other side. The antennas also need to be riveted here to the head. And then we start sewing from the mouth, and you can see here there are 3 sewing holes on the mouth and 2 on both sides of the legs. And so these legs overlap, and then everything gets sewn together, here all the way up. And just until this scale here with the D-ring attachment. When you sew together these scales, make sure they overlap here like this, like left, right, left, right. Now we got the zipper. My least favorite part. We got some double-sided tape here. Put it on to hold the zipper more in place. It's not going to work perfectly, but as good as possible. Flip over the ends, put it in position, and then sew it on. Clamps can help here. Be advised that I had to sew the zipper on twice because the distance to the edge did not fit correctly to make it easy open and close. So take your time here and keep this in mind that you may have to redo it as well. If your zipper is too long like mine, just cut it off and then flip over this end here and then sew it on. Also note that every scale is supposed to overlap the next one by 2 sewing holes. After the zipper, you sew this part here as well, and then you will notice there's a gap in the sewing holes because that's where we change the direction of the sewing. Which means that we're gonna sew these flash side to flash side. And to make this just a little bit more clean, in the end we add some contact cement in between first, then glue them together and then sew them. You don't have to do this, but it's just a little bit more clean. And to make it even more cleaner, because here it's important to work exactly on the cutting, we put on some resist and then burnish it to make it even closer match. And that is our shrimp bag. The final design is relatively simple to work with, but this took me like 3 months of making like 10 mock-ups until I was satisfied how the shape was. The early stages were much different. The idea was to be able to open and close the bag, like not the bag, but the back with CK, and make it like the opening in the belly, but this did not work out, was way more complicated. But in the end, like this, I very much like it, because it's huge on the inside. It has so much room. It's probably the most practical bag that I so far did. So I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys next time. Have a great day.